sector as U.S. office values are 25% below their 2022 peak. Now Moody's is warning of potential downgrades for 6 regional banks that have commercial real estate exposure. Despite this, our next guest believes that the bear market could be a great buying opportunity. For more, we welcome in Barry DiRaimondo. He is SteelWaves co-founder, chairman, and CEO. Thank you so much for being here in person with us. So we set it up nicely there for you. A lot of obstacles in the CRE space, but you're seeing opportunity.
I am. I think you're being generous when you're talking about values. Candidly, I think in the office sector, I think values are down 50 to 70%, not 25%. So depending on which side of the sale you're sitting on, if you're sitting on the seller side of the equation, you're probably a little concerned. If you're sitting on the buyer's side of the equation, you're probably looking at the opportunity as being generational in nature.
So getting in while it's inexpensive, but for
Exactly.
what?
Well, you've got two sides of the equation. You've got the capital market side, which drives values, and then you got supply and demand, which drives leasing. And they're both a mess, candidly, at the moment. And the institutional capital world doesn't want anything to do with office right now. You know, they've got all their legacy issues in their existing portfolio. They have a negative bias towards what's going on in the office sector from a supply and demand standpoint. And what the institutions tend to do is at the darkest point in the cycle, they generally take the leasing activity trend line and extrapolate that out. And when you do that, when there's virtually no leasing activity going on, you can convince yourself that it's going to take 10 years or longer to absorb all the vacant space. Now, historically, that never is what happens. Certainly in the tech sectors, you know, our markets are all driven by tech, the markets that we're in, West Coast markets. You know, all the big tech users, whether it's creative tech, whether it's traditional tech, defense tech, life science, you know, go down the list. They're home to all the big companies here. And what you see is that these office markets tend to recover more like a hockey stick.
Right.
So it happens much quicker than most people predict.
So are we at the bottom, though, of that hockey stick yet?
Oh, I think so. And in fact, we're starting to see green shoots of leasing, certainly in the Silicon Valley.
Well, it's interesting to me that you talk about the tech space. This is just one example, but the king of tech at the moment, Jensen Huang, doesn't require people to come into the office. What if the tech world's just changing into a remote work-friendly sector?
Well, I think that it has, candidly.
And isn't that bearish for CRE?
Well, certainly it's created, you know, significant amount of vacancy, right? So I think it's going to typically take longer to absorb that because, you know, you see the tech companies are shrinking their footprints. And it's compounded by the fact that, you know, when interest rates are zero, tech companies are focused on top-line revenue growth.
Right.
And when they're focused on top-line revenue growth, they're focused on growing headcount to generate that revenue. And I think what you saw, certainly during the COVID days, is that the tech companies over-leased space based on forward projections. Interest rates rise, and what you see is then they're focused on bottom-line profit. And I think so, you know, we in the commercial real estate sector were more than happy to accommodate their over projections. You know, now we're suffering the hangover from that.
Right. So what would be the single biggest driver then of a return to office, given that we are seeing a more remote work-friendly sector?
Well, I think
more broadly?
I think you're seeing a return to office. You know, I think all you got to do is look at the big tech companies and see the mandates. You know, at Amazon, you're required to go back into the office, you know, 4 days a week at least, and you're seeing the same thing at all the big tech companies. So while there are some tech companies that have embraced the work-from-home environment, there's other ones that are clearly moving back to the more traditional with a little bit of a hybrid piece of the equation. But, you know, if you're required to work 3 days a week or 4 days a week, you still need the same amount of office space because, you know, people are still coming into the space.
Right. All right, Barry, well, we're going to have to leave it there, but really appreciate you joining us and discussing the CRE space. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
That was Barry DiRaimondo. He is SteelWaves co-founder, chairman, and CEO.
Let's talk about this. A luxury auto dealer says that a $420,000 Rolls-Royce was on its way to a dealer.
Yeah, so there you go about, you know, what's going on in the real commercial real estate, you know, industry and everything. So, you know, there's some good qualities to invest in. If you invest in, and if you invest in commercial real estate, or invest in a build or something, what's the right team to invest it in, and bring, what type of business, so you can get profit out of it. So go ahead, Kimmy, and what's your state of mind of what's going on in the commercial real estate in here in 2024?
I honestly think that the way the market is and the way people are spending money now, I think it's a bad investment. All I see is empty buildings when I go around. Like, who hasn't, like, the average commercial rent is $4,000. Very few people have that amount of money. So I'm trying to confuse on what they say. I need to know what region there is and what that. The reason why a lot of people don't like this work from home stuff and they're forcing people to go back, because it takes money away from commercial real estate. You just don't need that large of a footprint. You get more productivity from a person who's home. You're able to manage him, teams, and all that. Technology has gotten to the point where we can do this. So I just think this is more of a money grab. A lot of people got their investment in commercial real estates. A lot of people are advocating from a legal point or a judicial point. Hey, we need these, like, yo, a lot of them need to go back. You know what I mean? That the average rent a lot of these tech companies are paying upwards to $1 million a month. The buildings in New York, Google and all these places where they go get, they don't own those buildings, they're renting them. So if you don't got Google to rent, that means that you don't have no cleaning lady, no window man, you know what I mean, no the food spots that's downstairs. People say, hey, if everything digital, this is gonna be an issue for us. We just need to evolve and try to use these for different things.
Now that, but shout out to the lovely Sherry Bryan, who's also in the building, the lovely Berry White, aka Happy. Hey, Happy. She got the purple heart. The purple heart mean what? Because white mean pure love, so the purple heart mean what? What does it mean with the
Royalty.
purple? Royalty heart?
Royalty. Hey Google,
Appreciate that.
what does Purple Hearts mean?
According to Wikipedia, the Purple Heart is a United States military decoration awarded in the name of the president to those wounded or killed while serving.
All right, hey Google,
Oh
stop
no,
it.
man, no, wrong information. Shout out to no, also shout out to No Chaser that's also in the building, and also the Diary of a angry mixed
Mixed
man.
man. That's my homeboy. That's my
I already
half
know.
brother.
Well, from the Action Win channel, Big Shicey.
Big
Shout
brother.
out to shout out to him for being in the building. Now, Hakeem, you made I think commercial real estate is big money, especially
Hmm.
when it comes to commercial real estate, when it comes to the stock market as well. So, someone like me who do invest in commercial real estate, I do invest in commercial real estate when it comes to the aspect of the stock market. I don't really put my money in actual physical. I do the mostly the digital thing because I think when you invest in the stock market, especially when it's stuff like real estate, because real estate ain't going anywhere. I'm
No.
just being honest. Real estate ain't going anywhere. If you want to build generational wealth, you got to start from real estate. Most of the people right now who are billionaires and multi-billionaires, they invest in a lot in real estate. And like you said, Hakeem, you stated that how Google right now rent from a real estate building in New York. So that was that telling me money's in real estate. So go for the real estate if you wanna have long lasting wealth for you and also your kids. Shout out to White High who also is in the building. So I think commercial real estate and also real estate itself, there is a lot of money that people should invest in, especially black people. That's something y'all should also look for. And also big tech. He mentioned big tech. That's also where the money is at. You got Microsoft. Man, the list goes on and on and on when it comes to big tech. That is the future of our generation. So those things, commercial real estate and also big tech, that's something that people should invest. They might. I know I'm not a financial advisor. Of course, go sit down with your financial advisor. But for me and also my future, that's what we're investing in. Go ahead, Jordan.
Personally, we would comes to commercial real estate. I know back in the pandemic, it really took a big hit when everything closed down and everything. And after the pandemic and everything, when people start really working from home and everything, a lot of these buildings, in major cities like Miami, New York, here, especially here in LA and everything, they to me that after that, when start people can invest in their own business, invest working at home and everything, it kind of hurt on the commercial real estate in a bit. But like I said, it's it's also a shift to it as well. I believe, if you have like a small building with like a small commercial real estate, building or something like that, I think that would be easier because you could get offices for like a practitioner, doctor, dentist, but to me, how the podcast is going too, I think if you can make a commercial building, and then you have different podcasters have their own room and charge a good rate and everything, how podcasts are really really on the rise and everything. I think that's a really, really good investment and everything. I really thought about that too. Seeing it on YouTube, how some of these small YouTubers or these big YouTubers, especially in sports, because a lot of people in sports, they definitely build a podcast. So I feel like what that is, if you have like a small building, like here in LA, if you have it like in the Valley, like in Sherman Oaks or North Hollywood or Santa Monica, something like that, and if you build a building, you have different podcasts, so you can charge a rate on that. I think you can make money like that too and everything. And then once if the podcasters are making enough money, you can probably bring the price up a little bit. But to me, you should have like a cap on how much the podcasters could pay, something like that, because you want to overprice people to kick you out, but then again, you want to make sure you make money so you can pay your property tax and all that type of thing. So. Yeah, when it comes to commercial and real estate, there is a shift going on before 2020 and after 2020. You just gotta find, what are people doing at homes or what their people are doing, So I not just podcasts, like I said, you get people from making a dentist office or a medical office or anything like that. So people, I just want to say this: is make sure if you go into real estate, make sure. What's hot right now. What you can do, you can have people come in your property so you can make money, or you can invest in a building like a big like an open space building, and you can have parties, bar mitzvahs, all that type of stuff as well. You can make easy money with that if if the price is right and everything. So just a couple ideas, a couple options you can do so you can make good money.
And now that, but shout out to Why High. He said something very powerful right here. He said, Hakeem, companies need the real estate for tax deduction. That is also a fact. I would say if you want to put your money where it needs to go, real estate where it needs to be at. That would say commercial real estate ain't going anywhere. Go ahead, Hakeem. Final thought.
So, why high? You are correct, but here's the thing: people can get a tax deduction when just a simple room in your house, and you can write that off as an office. You know
But
what I
not
mean?
as big as a real estate. Not as big as a real estate building.
Now I understand that. Like, really, all a business do needs is one office space. Just like a lot of these e-commerce brands, do you think Fashion Nova has a big? They might have a big warehouse now, but you know what I'm saying. I'm talking about where their office at. Their office is just where it's something. But he does have a point. I ain't gonna lie, they do get tax deductions from it. But
Yeah,
that's
huge big tax
yeah,
deduction.
yeah. That's me, yeah.
No, but you are right. Like a small building, a small room in your house, you could also get tax deduction. That
Mm.
you could write your home off as a business. We know that. If people don't know that, you need to do research on that because that's what you need to do. That So if you buy a house, make sure you use that as a tax write off. You can. However, when it comes